So good morning, everybody. Normally, I don't need a mic, so this is good to be here. Everything's fine. There's no emergency. Your car's probably okay, I would think. And I know it's a little strange to have a cop talking in uniform at the Stanford Graduate School of Business, but for those that don't know me, here we are. Surprise. That's where we're at. So let's jump into this. Hopefully this all works. Also, we have a timer. That's why I keep looking down, right? We were told, like, stay on time, and I follow directions. I'm a rule follower. So in my over 2 decades of experience in the policing world, I've learned that cops hate 2 things the most, right? One is change, and the other is when things stay the same. Now, as funny as that is, that's probably more of a human thing than it is a police-only kind of thing, but it is a thing to consider. And like a lot of the other presenters, I'm going to talk about COVID. Never in my career did I think we were going to be doing the things that we were doing and thinking about during that time. And those included things like large-scale vaccination site safety, security, logistics. I never thought that that was going to be part of my job. And then, some other things that kind of test values. Things like, what happens if we're asked to arrest people for not wearing masks? Do I have my officers arrest somebody for not wearing a mask or not, right? How do we do that? Thank God we didn't have to deal with that too much, but that is a consideration. And then just like other organizations, right, I have employees. I have sworn staff, police officers, but I also have non-sworn staff, professional staff. And what happens if they get sick, right? They can work from home, maybe, but you can't, at least for now, unless somebody has a great idea, we can't work patrol and arrest people from home. It's really hard. And so, how do we deal with that? And then let me give it to you. There's a little twist on that than a business environment. What if I can't? What if an entire patrol team gets sick? What if my dispatchers get sick? And what if an entire patrol division gets sick? And I can't put cops on the street because I don't have any. And I can't have dispatchers, when you call 911, nobody answers. Right? These are big issues that, again, I didn't think we were going to have to deal with that. But, get out of the doom and gloom part, we actually found our pace and our cadence. So in that time, in that change, in that challenge, we actually found ourselves doing pretty well. And, people liked us. There were billboards that said, thank you, first responders. And quite honestly, that meant a lot coming in, right, to see that. That was good. And we got letters, and people sent cookies and stuff, and it was cool, a little bit. And things were good. And people waved with all their fingers, like most of the time. So we were feeling pretty good. Yeah. Let me take it down a notch. And then everything changed, right? The murder of George Floyd changed everything again. In the middle of a change and challenge, communities were angry. They were fearful. They were mistrustful. They wanted to know what was going on in their departments. And a human response, not to get all psychological on people, but a normal human response to this, and an organizational response, is to kind of cross your arms and go, hey, look, this says Mountain View Police Department on it, by the way, down the street, home of Google. This doesn't say Minneapolis. This doesn't say Memphis, right? That was those guys. That wasn't me. That was him, not me. We didn't do that, right? But crossing your arms and doing that doesn't help, actually. It polarizes the argument. So we'll step out of the doom and gloom again here, a lot of forward-thinking police departments, like my own, showed up. We went. We were there. We showed up at protests, not as security. I mean, a little bit, but that's not why we were there. And we went to marches, and we were part of it. We were part of the communication. We were listening, and we heard terrible things. I mean, people were mad, rightfully so, and sometimes yelling at us. But we listened, and we were part of the conversation because we're part of the community. A lot of police departments they struggle with that. We're part of the community. This is backwards for me. So this here is another program that I'm very proud about that we started. So if you're all familiar with a Citizens Academy or a Community Academy, Police Academy that a lot of departments do, we did that same thing. We rebranded it MVPDX, because we're cool, and flipped it on its head. We actually seeked out and invited the people who were showing up at city council meetings, who were angry, who wanted answers and were demanding action, and we brought them, very design thinking, into a room like this. Actually, this is one of the cohorts. And we talked about those hard issues, right? Excessive use of force, policing our own, transparency, racial bias, prejudice, training, recruiting, right? Budgets. And we heard awful things, and we got to learn with them. And proud to say that that is still happening today. In fact, we just graduated our last cohort about a month ago. So this wouldn't be LEAD without a story. So here's my story. This is a body camera, officer-worn cameras, and I probably should have had one on today. My boss is not going to be happy. Sorry. We bought these for our folks many years ago, right, for our officers. And I was all excited about this. At that time, I was a newly minted lieutenant, Saul Jaeger, and I was all excited about this. To have the ability to have video and audio recording of all of our contacts, I mean, it was going to be awesome, right? I was super, super excited about this. And one of my first tasks was to contact the patrol teams and talk to them about how we're going to do this, expectations, you know, all of the things that go around with that. Now, I want to take a minute. I want you guys to think in your minds, take you back for a second, all the police shows and movies that you've ever seen. Think about the salty veterans, the old cops, right? Crooked hat, sitting back, you know, everything sucks. That was the team that I decided to go to. Like, what could go wrong, right? That's not this team. This is like our new folks, but that was the only picture I could find quickly. So I went in there, and I explained it, and I got crushed, like absolutely crushed. They hated it, hated everything about it. They were worried about, what if I forget to turn it on? What if I forget to turn it off? What if I go to the bathroom? What if I say a bad word? Are you, command staff, are you guys going to yell at me, and am I going to get in trouble, right? Hated it. I left the room. I was like completely deflated. I walked out, shut the door. A sergeant looked at me, peeked out, and said, hey, what happened? And I told him, and he said, come here, kid. He actually said kid. And he said, listen, at one time, the only radio that the police officers had was in their car. Here in Mountain View, well, not here, but here in my city. If they needed anything, they went back to the car, and they made their call, or they called on a payphone. The only thing they had was on their belt was their gun, their handcuffs, a set of keys, and a baton. And that was it, and things were good. They were happy, and things were good. And one day, a command officer, much like yourself, walked in and said, hey, guys, they were all guys at the time. They were like, hey, guys, we have these new radios, these new portable radios that were like this big. You're going to use these, and it's going to be wonderful and great and everything. And he looked at me, and he said, Saul, what do you think they thought of that? And again, I'm defeated. I'm like, I don't know, they must have loved it, right? And he goes, no, they hated it. They hated everything about it, right? What if I forget to turn it on? What if I forget to turn it off? It's too big, it's too heavy, it's uncomfortable. What if they use it as a weapon against me? And the kicker was, oh, so now you're going to call me anytime you want, tell me where to go, who to talk to, how to do my job, right? And I was like, okay, wise sergeant, I get it. Here we are today. Now, this is an organization and an industry that is very change-averse. We don't like it. We hate it. But at the same time, everything is changing constantly in our world. And I just talked about one piece of equipment. That's one thing. But think about legislation and policy and law and community sentiment, right? It changes in the blink of an eye. We saw it with George Floyd. So in an industry that's staring at change all the time, that hates it, we're trying to kind of spin that. So I have a minute left. My challenge to you is two things. One is individual for each one of you. How are you, and I don't have the answer to this, but how are you going to wrap your head around change and reframe it in a way that you see it as something positive and as something that is a growth opportunity? And two, as leaders of people, leaders of human beings, how are you going to gently push and encourage, nudge maybe, your organization as a whole to also see change as a growth opportunity, not as something to be feared? Thank you. 30 seconds.